Fred Armisen, last year you got nominated for in the sketch series category at the Emmys for Portlandia and Documentary Now. You're sort of taking over the category. What was that like?
It was shocking and still a lot of fun. Like I was shocked, but then I just let go of overthinking it and thought like, oh, in the future, I'm just going to look back at this as a really prolific time, because everything I work on, I just work, hope it gets out there, and then to see it keep resonating is great with me. So I was really happy.
And it's sort of like you sort of broke ground, like Portlandia broke ground in that it got some nominations in the writing categories and things before they had the sketch category.
Yeah.
And then you broke through in the first year. So it's sort of nice that you sort of last year got 2 nods in that field. Yeah,
it's great. And, I just also I like the tradition of the Emmys in general. It's just like, I just love TV, and to be part of it is I think a lot of fun.
So I want to talk Portlandia. I want to talk Documentary Now. Fred, what would you like me to start with?
Up to you.
Okay. Oh boy. Let's start talking about Documentary Now, because we've never talked about that show before. And in season 2, which sort of installment or documentary were you the most proud of?
We kind of divide them up a little bit. So Bill Hader is kind of in charge of one. By in charge, I mean like he's got the main concept to it, and he sort of we all write separately. And the one that I got to do was this Talking Heads one called Final Transmission. It was sort of an homage to Stop Making Sense. And that one I got to write a bunch of songs for and perform. And I'm a huge Talking Heads fan. So in a way, that's the one I feel the most like I got to do what I enjoy. On the other hand, there's this one that Seth Meyers wrote called One Likes Chicken and Rice that I just loved doing. And we went to Colombia to shoot it, and that was just generally one that I feel like Seth and I really, got to do work together in the way that we love.
With the Final Transmission one, and it's sort of like watching that one reminded me, they're very different in style and tone in a sense, but it reminded me of the Blue Jeans Committee one from season 1, and how you've sort of used Documentary Now to sort of blend your love of music and your passion for music with sketch comedy.
Yeah, it's a dream. It's everything that I love. I could never imagine that those things can come together in this way. And I think that musically too, writing songs, I operate better if I'm doing a parody of something else. So whereas in my whole life, I've always done music as a sort of original thing, with bands and stuff. Things in music in the context of a sketch or parody, for some reason, works better for me.
Yeah. And what's been your favorite sort of musical piece you've done for Documentary Now?
I think there's a song for Blue Jean Committee called Catalina Breeze. And it got written so quickly that my memory of it is just, the reason it would be my favorite is because it just came together so fast. Because on paper we thought, oh, we've got to do some kind of 70s soft rock song. And then it was a jumble in my head of all the things that I love about soft rock.
Yeah. What is the best, with comedy and music working together, how do they serve each other?
I feel like it's a good, it's like a sturdy pair of shoes. If comedy is like this, Frankenstein body, it's like Frankenstein shoes that can kind of hold the monster up. Maybe the bolts too. But for me, that's what it's like, where I might have a comedic idea, but I can't really express it unless I have the music for it to stand up on. I just came up with that, by the way.
Oh, nice. And a Fred Armisen original.
Yes, the Frankenstein boots.
Yeah, very good. The Frankenstein boots of music and comedy. What's it like working with Bill and Seth on the show?
The more I get to know them, the more I realize that we really are brothers, because it's one thing that we were thrown together for Saturday Night Live. That's like, okay, we work at the same place. We're going to get along. But then, the show's over. SNL's over for us, and we still continue to work together in a very, what I would say, aggressive, not against each other, but we aggressively attack these work tasks. So we know each other well, and then we keep knowing each other even more, and we make each other laugh. What is better than that? And we just go through a lot together, so it's great. Seth just keeps delivering. Bill just keeps delivering. It's the best.
What's the funniest thing about Bill, and what's the funniest thing about Seth?
Seth, which people don't get to see very much, when he's mad about something, he has a tone. He'll sort of whisper to me if he's mad about something, like, something that somebody said to him or something. His tone is so focused. It's like a little dagger, and he'll say, like, and you know what he said next? And there's something about it. That's where I think he's the funniest. And Bill always states the obvious of whatever's happening in the room. He just has a way of, something is sort of like, no one's discussing that's happening in the room, and he calls it out. And it's like embarrassing and funny at the same time.
What do you think the funniest thing is about you?
That's really tough, because the thing that's hard is, like, for me to say, like, hey, I'm a funny guy, that's for other people to say. I'll just, I'll just grasp onto the idea that I can do accents from different countries pretty well. Not all of them, but some of them. And my hope is that someone thinks that's funny, that I can do that.
I might amend the question into, what do you think you bring to the table that Seth and Bill don't? Like, how do you complement that group of three?
That's a pure music thing. That's like, that's what they say, and that's what I say. It's always like, because when we talk about I'll call it Bill's episodes, I have nothing to contribute as far as a writer goes. I don't know the documentary references. I leave that to them, and it's nice. It's nice to leave it to them. But then when we think, okay, we've got to do a music episode, it falls on me, and it's like, it's very much like a sports team where there's the one specialty that I feel like I can do.
You say you sort of divide them up amongst you guys. Are you more likely to be in your own ones more, or the other people?
No, I'd be in it more.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But on the other hand, we do operate as a duo, me and Bill. Like, it is the way it works best is if we are in the same scene together. That's when it really resonates most.
Oh, and like the bunker was a great one to see you guys bounce off each other.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
What was like working on those ones where you and Bill share a lot of scenes together? What do you enjoy most about that dynamic?
We really do crack up. You don't see it on screen because we really have to be accurate to the documentary. But oh my God, we really do. We do have to stop to laugh a lot.
Yeah, and I guess with like documentary, like doing a documentary parody, you have to play it straight, probably a lot more than other comedy work you've done.
Any amount of clowning around, it becomes evident, and it just doesn't work the same way. We try to make it as accurate as we can.
What's been the hardest one to play straight?
I would say the bunker. That was a hard one because that's almost caricature, but it came pretty close. Yeah. That's a tough one because that's almost clowny.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what do you think, why do you think like a documentary is such a good platform to parody for comedy?
I don't know if it's the most ideal. It's just that we did it before, and it worked for what we wanted to do. I don't know if it's the best I don't know if it's the best way for us to do comedy. It's what it is for us is the best way to send a message of tribute. Meaning, like, we don't know that they're necessarily the funniest things in the world, but all we know is that we love the documentaries we reference. So so for us, it's like, we got to do one that's like Jonathan Demme. We did like a bunch of his movies, and that's kind of where we're at. So I don't know. We're not like, this is going to be hilarious. We're just, for us, it's more, oh, we love him.
Yeah. And I think there is something funny about, like, a documentary usually takes itself very seriously, and there's sort of something funny in seeing characters like your guys in the bunker and various other ones sort of taking themselves very seriously when things get absurd.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, documentaries, I mean, I know people have talked about it for, decades and decades, but there is a manipulative quality to them where they have a serious message, or like they want, look how honest this is. And there's something funny about that. There's some, which is, I feel bad saying, because, some of them really do have a serious point, but there's something about earnestness of, like, look at this, that is somehow funny to me.
Yeah. Is there a documentary you'd like to do that you guys haven't done yet?
That's a very good question. What haven't we done? There was one called High School. It's from the early 60s that we didn't quite accomplish. We keep trying to kind of do it, but it's almost too serious. And then those ones do you remember those ones that are like 7 Up, 14 Up, 21 Up?
Yeah.
That would be great. That's like a good lifelong, art project. So maybe somewhere in there, there's something about, I mean, it's like such a, Olympian feat that director did. So maybe something in there, like the sort of life art project.
Do you reckon if you did like a 7 Up one, you would play every age of the person, or you get different people in?
I think we'd have to play every age.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
I think we'd have to.
Yeah. What do you have the most fun moment from sort of shooting the show?
Just being in Iceland. We shot a little bit in Reykjavik, and I love Reykjavik so much that just landing there, just landing at the airport there, I'm immediately happy. So that, and just, getting to spend time with Bill, getting to spend time with Seth, John Mulaney too, is like, we just laugh the whole time. It's the best.
I think, thinking of documentaries, one I remember watching in sort of like college when I was growing up was one where an old lady, I can't remember the name, it's quite a famous one, I think, where she finds a potato shaped like a heart. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, no.
Yes, you should check it out. It's pretty, I didn't like it very much at the time, but it was, yeah, that was a pretty good one, where a lady finds a potato shaped like a heart.
You remember the title of it?
I will try to search it while we're talking about something else a bit later, and I'll come back to it for you, so we don't get stuck on it now. But yeah. Anyway, I think, like, you were talking about how, like, you feel like a brother to Seth and to Bill, and that's something you sort of realize even more through making the show. And I feel like something about the sketch comedy of work done post Saturday Night Live is it has been a show in some ways of relationships and friendships. And obviously you've got a very close friendship with Carrie, who you've done Portlandia with. You are, I think, starting to shoot tomorrow, the final season of Portlandia. Yes. What are you going to miss most about working with Carrie?
I'll never stop working with Carrie. We've been friends for so long. We've worked together for so long, even before Portlandia, that will never end. So what's interesting is that the whole time I've had that on my mind. I've just thought, like, I don't foresee a time where I have to say goodbye to Carrie. It's just like, she'll always be in my life. We'll always love working together. This is just a project. This is just one project of hopefully many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the name of that documentary was The Gleaners and I.
I never heard of it, but it's a good title.
Yeah, it's The Gleaners and I. It's about people who glean, who look for things, go through collections, and they try to find like people with collections. It was done by who did it? Directed by Agnes Varda.
Sounds.
It's a European. It's a French film. It's a French documentary. Anyway, it was very, very bizarre, unlike any documentary I've seen before. Wow. Anyway, but back to Carrie. Back to working with Carrie in Portlandia.
Yeah, I'll always work with her. This is just one of many projects.
What's something you'd like to work on with her in the future?
A movie. Maybe something that we're both not in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something that we write together for other people. We keep wanting to do that, and it hasn't happened yet. But whenever there's someone on set that when we're not in the scene, it's just a really new way of working that we really like.
Mm. What's been your favorite character or characters to play on Portlandia?
The weirdos, the sort of goth, spooky characters. They're the most, I would say, that is like me. I just really love doing those two. They're so normal and scary at the same time. Yeah.
Now, Carrie said you would say this when I spoke with her earlier today, and she said, "Can you please find out why he connects with the weirdos so much? Why that is the character that he likes the most?" Because she's a little bit not 100% sure as to why.
It's kind of like I would like to spend my life dressed up as a vampire, right? Like that would be, we can't, in society, you can't really do that. But I do like the sort of like white makeup and black hair and this, I'm just in love with everything that seems Dracula-like. So the characters themselves talk like us. They talk pretty normal, but they're still sort of scary, and they walk around with like coffins and a hearse. And I just love their life. They just have such a great life. They have a bat, they have a dead bat, you know, beach stuff. And it's just the most fun to dress up as.
And apparently you got some tombstones delivered to your house or something like that. Is that true?
Yeah. I'm working on I want my backyard to be a cemetery, and I had some tombstones made.
Nice.
Yeah. They say ghost number 1, ghost number 2, ghost number 3, ghost number 4.
Who are they ghosts of, Fred?
It's up to the ghosts. They're invitations for the ghosts, and they can be whoever shows up, they're welcome.
So it's sort of first in, best dressed. The first 4 ghosts to arrive can have those coffins.
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. Whose ghost would you most want? Are there any particular famous people or significant people to you that you would love?
Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney, Christopher Lee, and Peter Cushing.
Yeah, Christopher Lee would be great. The whole vampire thing continuing.
Yeah, from those Hammer films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Very good. I remember watching Christopher Lee vampire movies in college too.
Yeah. Where did you go to college?
I did my media sort of film degree at Macquarie University in Sydney.
Nice. And you're in Sydney right now?
Yeah, I'm in Sydney right now. So.
Hey, what's that gavel from?
The gavel? Oh, I took that from the Better Call Saul season 2 premiere party.
Wow, very good.
Yeah. So there you go. Good question, Fred.
Yeah.
What's your favorite sketch from season 7 of Portlandia?
Favorite sketch is this one called White Rug. It's this thing where like this couple buys a white rug, and buying a white rug is a real sign of being an adult. It's a sign of like you're no longer a kid. You're going to take responsibility. It's expensive. You can't mess around with it. There's nothing punk rock about it. It is a grown up thing to do, and it just fell together in just the right way. Some things go beyond just what they are. Like some things, just the editing, something works out, and that's one of those sketches.
Yeah, it was sort of like to hear the kind of conversation a couple would normally have about having a baby.
Yeah.
But sort of replacing that with a rug was just like really interesting to think about those sorts of questions couples ask themselves.
Yeah, that's very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought what was it in the season before also when was it the Fred and Carrie, they had sort of like a bit of a sort of like sex scene for want of a better word, and I thought that was just the matter of factness of that scene was really interesting too.
Yeah, we originally didn't want to do it because we don't like sort of like the kind of tension that's like fine. We didn't want it to be like, oh, finally, but it really served the story. It was the only way out of the story. So we're like, let's just do it. But the way that we wrote it is the way that it came out, meaning like we wrote it in a very perfunctory, clinical way. Like we have to write the scene. Let's just treat everything clinically.
I like it. That's good. What's been your favorite sort of like, so your favorite characters are the weirdos, but what's been your favorite relationship on the show?
Fred and Carrie, because we always take care of the ending of those sketches. Those are I always forget about endings. I always think that endings, I'm like, oh, whatever, we'll just end the sketch however. But for some reason, that's one where the director, the writers, we all kind of make sure that Fred and Carrie end up in a good place. So even if they get into an argument or a disagreement, it's very, very much like The Simpsons. We model a lot of our sketches around the logic of The Simpsons, where everything gets reset. So where whatever Marge and Homer go through, we always think of, well, if they could go through it, Fred and Carrie could go through it.
Yeah, and I think, do you feel like, is Fred in the show very much like you or different to you?
Different in that the Fred on the show is, both of Carrie and Fred are pretty dumb. Fred is pretty dumb in it. However, I'm not saying that I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm dumb in other ways. But in that one, I truly don't have a grasp on anything. I don't have a grasp on even on music. So, but I'm dumb in other departments. But that's what we play up in the characters.
Yeah, you wouldn't set up a cell phone company for 10 friends. You're not that kind of dumb.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you? And I asked this to Carrie. Portlandia is not really a sketch show that is set up punchline, sort of in how it delivers its comedy. What do you look for when you're writing a sketch in how to find the sort of the comedy?
It plays out in the room. So when we're in the writer's room, one of us will bring up an idea, and sometimes it's met with dead silence, or someone will say like, well, we kind of did that already. But if people start adding to it and laughing at how preposterous it is, then it's like, oh, this might be a sketch. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. And then all of a sudden it's on screen. A good example of that would be the B-52s one. We did one where there's a box set. So a lot of times a box set will come out, some sort of anthology from your favorite band, and they really pack them with so many things. It's always like an authentic looking badge and lyric sheets and stuff. And pitching that in the room, that's a tricky one. Where's the comedy really? There's no joke. All it does is exist. So as we talk about it in the room, the vibe is like, this is never really going to happen. But then people keep adding to it. Or did you ever notice that there's this and exclusive photos and all these things, and then original artwork? It just keeps living. So we set these things off, and they sort of take a life of their own.
What are you looking for in the final?
So they don't take a life of their own. They take on a life of their own.
Yeah. What is your what are you looking for in the final season of Portlandia? And I'm not talking about plot as much as just as what are you looking for as Fred Armisen out of the final season?
Real consistency and a thematic link to the rest of the seasons, of the episodes, because we really approached it as like any season. I don't think audiences care about the emotional impact of what season it is or how long it's been going. That romantic notion, we killed on the first day of writing. We're like, just to address this, there's going to be no, tying up loose ends or a kiss goodbye. None of that. Like, people just want to be entertained. So let's make a great show. Let's think about these sketches. Let's make them resonate. Let's hopefully they'll have some meaning to them, and hopefully they'll be funny. And let's just leave it at that. And that's really what we went for. And it's a little bit of work, but it's worth it in the end. But it's just, as soon as you start seeing that pop up on TV shows where they're like, hey, everybody, I don't know. It's just people's time is very limited. So we're trying to be efficient and really pack in the jokes and the relationship stories. And we just want to make it interchangeable with any season where you don't have to watch it like, well, hold on, let me explain. None of that. Just, you could fall into it in the middle of this one or in the middle of season 3. It should all feel like the same show. Yeah.
You're not going to have big ads like the penultimate episode of Portlandia.
Yeah. Or, with characters anyway. I mean, I can't control how they're going to advertise it. My hope, I do tell them, like, let's just keep it, let's keep it fun. But as far as content goes, let's just make something. There's a lot of shows out there. So, and there's also I feel like people are smarter than that too. Everyone's like, yeah, we get it. Let's see something new.
Yeah, this is nothing on the actual show, but sometimes I see ads in Australia, so I don't know what they're doing in America for The Big Bang Theory, which is less about the comedy and more about big development this week. Who kisses who does that? I'm like, that's not why people watch comedy, surely.
Exactly. It's it almost can be alienating, because if I don't watch the show, then I'm like, well, I guess I'm really not going to watch the show then, since it's you guys already have such a dialogue. It should feel friendly. Like if it was a store, you don't need to know the workings behind the back storeroom. You're just like, look, here's what we have. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Fred, if you were to compare Portlandia, the series, to a band, what band would you compare it to?
For some reason, I like comparing it to the Police. That's just me. I just like what each band member represented. I like their sort of finite number of albums. And I don't know what it is that it always comes back to that for me. I used to think maybe Talking Heads, but David Byrne was the sort of only, mastermind of that band, or one of the main, masterminds of it. And this isn't that show. This isn't something where one of us is the commander of it, or the sole voice of it. So somewhere in the Police, I like to sort of think that that's where we're at.
How do you compare Documentary Now to a band? What band do you think Documentary Now?
That is a very, very, very good question. And I would say, General Public, Big Audio Dynamite. Maybe when Jack White started doing his solo stuff, like I always think of it as a sort of fun project that we did as friends. Like, we put no pressure on ourselves as far as what it was going to be. That was like purely out of fun. So it's got a sort of supergroup quality to it. So yeah, somewhere in there. That's cool. A very good question, though.
And what band do you hope, if you could, for your next show that you make, what band would you most like to sort of emulate or create a parallel with?
I would say Prince, because Prince kept changing his look. He even changed his bands from, sort of periods of his career. And I really admire, I mean, even before he died, just his really absolute focus in going one direction. You know, I really admired that about him. And as the more I'm in entertainment and doing this, the more I see his every move that he made as completely genius. Like, that was great idea. Great idea. Changing his name. You know, most people are scared to do stuff like that. And it's such a crazy, bold thing to do.
Did now we talk a couple of years ago when we had our first ever chat, I accidentally made a comment about dishwashing. You want to steal that idea for a TV show, Fred. I can't help but feel like with Portlandia wrapping up, this could be the perfect time for that dishwashing comedy series to take off. Any rumblings about that?
Well, what's going to happen is, you know, because you're in Australia, I don't know if we're going to have to draw up some legal documents, some sort of international legal documents to make sure that, you know, you get compensated for being part of that idea. But how about let's get our agents together?
Yeah.
And let's make it happen. Let's read it. You know what? Screw that. Let's forget about agents. Let's make it you and me.
Yeah.
And we'll begin our own show, and it'll be the first show that has no contracts, no crew.
Yeah.
And it just exists.
Yeah. It's sort of like it's like the I forgot the name for a second. It's like Final Transition, how your character, saying that all the artworks was he'd made all the artworks was the artwork in and of itself.
Yes. Let's work on that as our next step.
Yeah. So the concept is the series in and of itself at the moment.
Exactly.
I like it. It's very, very Duchamp. Very Duchamp.
Yeah.
Very good. Fred, Carrie also said I had to ask about your new car. You've got a new car, apparently.
Yeah. I got a little hatchback, a little Audi hatchback.
Nice.
For Portland. It seemed like the appropriate car to get here because I live here part-time. That's pretty funny that she asked you to ask that.
That was the first thing that came to mind. So, what should I ask Fred? She goes, ask him about his new car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in Portland at the moment. Do you want to show us a bit of Portland out the window, Fred? Do you want to give us a bit of a tour of?
Well, actually, there's a lot of construction.
Oh.
So it's very I'll show you. There's a construction crane out there.
Oh, there we go. A new building.
Yeah. So there's that happening, and then here's my picture of the Damned. And here's some artwork. There we go.
Very nice.
And here's one of my favorite art pieces. It's a cassette of the Specials, the band The Specials.
Oh, nice. That's
it's painted by the bass player.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you ever listen to audio cassettes still, Fred? Do you have a few?
You know, the cool answer would be yes. You know what I mean? Like I have a cassette player and I have cassettes, but it's never what I've jumped to listen to music. So the cool, like if I was cool, I'd be like, yeah, of course I do. But my honest answer is not really. I have cassettes and a player, but I always go to CDs, LPs, or anything on any of the sort of any of my iPods. I'm a fan of iPod Classic.
I was going to say, I do not have a new car, Fred, and I've got an old Carlton audio cassette player in it, and that's
nice.
Yeah, that's my that's the only way I can listen to them now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah. Well, Fred, it has been so great talking about Documentary Now and Portlandia. All the best of luck for the Emmys for both shows, and hopefully we'll get to touch base next year about them as well.
And one more thing, I don't
Yes.
know how many Australian viewers you have, but Midnight Oil just did a reunion tour. I haven't been able to catch them yet, but their drummer is one of the greatest drummers. He does crazy stuff on the drums, and I just want to say to all of Australia, thank you. Thank you for making one of the greatest drummers.
That's very nice. I do not know how many Australian viewers we have either. I do.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's kind of nice that the world has opened up this much, but
yeah,
I want to go to Australia. I've told you this before, so bad. And I almost was going to go to the comedy festival there coming up, but the schedule didn't work out. It was like right at the tail end of Portlandia. So, but I'll go there soon.
I hope so. And it would be great if you came down here for a comedy thing or something like that, so I could go check it out.
Yeah, great.
Cool. So yeah, no, very good, Fred. And you know the lead singer of Midnight Oil was like in politics here for.
Oh yes, yeah.
So
very active.
Very active. Yeah. When he was in the band, he was very active in politics on the other side of it. That he had to go. He was an MP, like a congressman, I guess. Was like,
right. That's what I was told.
Yeah. Oh, well, very good. Always so lovely to chat with you, Fred. It's always
great to talk to you. I'll see you later.
Yeah, see you. Have a good one. Bye.
Thanks.